Retail differentiation in 2026. Compete on connection, not on discounts. You came here thinking like, oh, I'm getting tired of doing discounts in my store. Yeah, you should be. I'm going to go through why that's bad and more importantly, what you can do instead. I'm going to tell you an amusing story about a guy who owed more than he sold and why that's important to you. I'm going to share with you why discounts are eating away at your bottom line, and more importantly, the way to get around discounts is to look at behaviors and what's going on your sales floor rather than just saying, let's just put the whole thing on sale. Now let's get going. Nothing makes me more angry than when a customer says to me, a client says to me, but you don't understand, Bob, I have to discount, that's the only way we can make a sale. And I go, well then you probably are in a lot of trouble because discounts don't move the needle. They're kind of like a sugary snack. They might make you feel good at the time, but at some point it's like, oh, that wasn't good. You know, one of the stories I tell in one of my first books, You Can Compete, it's actually my keynotes, one of my keynotes I still give across the country, is the story of Mike Sheldrake. And Mike Sheldrake was a coffee roaster in Long Beach, California, who I met in 1995. And the way I found out about him was because there were all these letters to the editor being written. This is what's wrong with America. Big guy putting a little guy out of the business. All of us should be annoyed that they're trying to get rid of Mike. And I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? Well, it turns out Starbucks, who opened a store 10 blocks from him, were about to open one 100 feet from his front door. Mike had been in business 25 years. And I decided one night, I was going to go find out about how this guy was doing. So I went down to his store. It was a rainy night. Walked in, 2 employees leaning on the counter. One saying, you know, when that second Starbucks opens, this place will be gone. So I already told him I was the manager. Who's going to check? I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy needs my help. Half the light bulbs are burned out. The drink was terrible. The condiment section, a mess. And these guys thought that was fine. So I go to meet Mike. And once he loves to tell this story. I thought you were an Amway salesman. It's like, yeah, thanks, Mike. I wasn't. And I said, so tell me what's going on. And he said that his sales had gone down 10% every year since the first Starbucks went in several years ago. He owed more than he sold in a year. And his stepfather said, you'll never amount to anything. And his stepfather was his landlord. I'm like, dude. I said, so what are you going to do when they open that second Starbucks? He goes, they're going to send him back to Seattle. I said, that's great. And how are you going to do that? And he paused and he took off his glasses and he said, I haven't got a clue. And the first thing I looked at was, why are you running one of your signature blends for a penny when it should be $13? And he said, I need it because that's what gets people in. I sell a lot of that. I said, well, first thing we're going to do is stop doing that. And he was very nervous. He said, I don't know, you know, people like their discounts. I said, I don't care. And then I found out his employees were giving a 5-finger discount. So a customer would come up and say, hey, I want a cup of coffee. And then they would end up giving him also a bagel. They'd charge him for the coffee, put the difference in the tip jar. So the tip jar was brimming with $5 and $10. And I was like, that stops immediately too. Sales rose 11% the first month. Less than one, I think we had one person left out of 25 the next month. And I hired a whole new crew and I said, we're not discounting anymore. Discounting destroys the idea of your premium. And the problem is it's never enough of a discount. Do you understand that? It's never enough because you offer 20% off. The next time the manager's going, well, you know, they really didn't move the needle. We should be 25% off. Like, oh, okay, well, 25%, great. And then it's like, yeah, we really need to be 30%. You know, the other guys down the way, they're 30%. And now you're here. I don't ever want to be here. When I was selling cowboy clothes, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to my site yet, you need to do that right away because I have funny stories and yet serious message. It's up to you to grow your sales. But I was selling cowboy boots. And this guy comes in, he goes, do you have an Eldorado 9254? It was a beautiful brown lizard men's boot. And it runs about $359 back then. And I went in the back, I checked it out, I brought it out, I said, yeah, I've got it. And he goes, well, you know, the price is more than I'm willing to pay. I go, you know what, just for the heck of it, let's try them on anyway. So he tries them on, oh, these fit great. I said, oh yeah, great. So he takes them off, he goes, well, I was just at that store up the way and they have these on sale for $199. I said, well, ours would be free if I didn't have it, but we've got your size, so you want to wear them out or do you want to put them in a box? And the guy laughed. Remember my other videos I talk about laugh? I'll take them. Of course you'll take them. But we get caught in the discount like we have to do this. No, you don't. So that idea, I want to puncture that balloon in your mind that we got a discount to stay ahead. It's just wrong thinking. It's something from the 50s. I don't know what it is. Because the reality is everyone has a lower price than you, except that. If that's all I want, you can find that anywhere. If that's all you give when a customer walks in the door, they don't get a laugh, they don't feel that they matter, they don't have a customer experience with your sales staff, then you're pretty much saying, yeah, let's make a deal. Well, what would it take for you to buy our tools, our apparel, our furniture? Because really, the only way you really make a big sale is you connect with a human being and you get them to open their wallet because they'll feel better taking that home than staying here. And if you're selling, oh, well, wait around till our big sale, you're an idiot because they're in your store wanting to buy something today. Find a way to get them to say yes. I also covered that in one of my videos earlier. And again, if I haven't said it again, make sure you subscribe to my site. More importantly, watch the videos and you'll learn an awful lot too. Because the serious point is that promotions commoditize your brand. You're just like everybody else. I don't want that. You know, my SalesRx, my online retail sales training program, we are with a luxury timepiece brand known around the world. You would know this immediately. And they put SalesRx Plus in their stores about 6 months ago. Some of their salespeople increased sales 53%. Some doubled them. It is an out-of-the-box hit. And one manager who was very skeptical, and he was telling the CEO, you know, I learned it all, but I mean, I think I do it all already. And the CEO said, tell you what, just today, just do exactly like Bob said. Just follow the steps exactly. Got it? Don't cut any channels, just do it. Can you do that? He's like, yeah, I could do that. He sold 4 watches over 30 grand each in the middle of summer when theoretically a lot of the people have gone on vacation. Oh no, but that's like holiday numbers. Barker's, a company with over 100 locations in New Zealand, they reported a 23% increase in conversions by just following a framework. They ended up having their second best year ever after working with SalesRx for a full year because the managers aren't compliance managers of tasks, they're about behavior managers. That's much harder to manage, wouldn't you agree, than discounts. It's easy to say, yeah, 20% off, as your accountant's going, yeah, don't do that. And I don't have the math with me, but in my first book, The Retail Doc's Guide to Growing Your Business, I detail what that costs you for you to give like 10% off and an average sale of X, or your average volume of, let's say, you know, 20 grand or 200,000 a year, and take a look at what that really costs you, how much more you have to sell to make up for that discount. It never equals. It never equals. So I'm not saying you can't do a promotion for like one item or one line, that's fine, but those store-wide sales, not a good idea. And that whole idea of waiting, right? Amazon, all the online ones want you to wait, don't wait at all. We'll have it here in 15 minutes. Don't change your mind. Same thing in a retail store. If somebody knows like, yeah, this doesn't go on sale, like, great, I'll take it. We sometimes have sales, you should be on our mailing list. Yeah, you pretty much just said, yeah, buy from someone else. And that's the other problem, that when you think it's all about the discount, you forget that you have a pretty store. Stores have never looked prettier than they do right now. A lot of money in marble and tile and lighting, and it's fabulous. Great displays. You have vendors who are helping, right, show exactly what should go with what, right? You go through and you meet somebody and you have some moment where someone is right there with you conversing, and then suddenly their phone goes off and they're like, oh, I'll be right back. And they go to do something else. And in that second is when you lost it. It wasn't a discount. And they walk out. And if no one's watching what just happened, no one saved it, but someone could have. The manager, someone who's watching at 30,000 feet, looking down on that, whoa, what just happened? Oh, well, you know, we were talking about this, and I was going to get this bracelet for my wife, and now the guy left, and I think I'm going to look around. You know, I understand that. Tell me just a little bit about it. You can try to punt and get your way back into it, but at least you're trying. And the words to that salesperson is like, don't you ever do that to a customer again, or you're fired. Bob, that seems kind of harsh. Can't we just be kumbaya? Yeah, we can. And just keep using your discounts. But I'm telling you, I have built more brands with getting rid of discounts and doubling down on employee engagement than anything. That's the secret. It doesn't change. Yeah, you could read books like How to Grow Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie from the 1920s to understand, oh, we just have to listen to people better. Yeah, that's part of it. But if you're not training, you're going to fall back on the loser's limp of discounts. and that's going to kill you. So let's just unpack. I gave you a whole story about Polly and why Mike Sheldrake had to stop discounts and what he got out of it. I shared with you what you should be doing is tracking behaviors and not looking at your discounts so much. And more importantly, the idea that discounts really don't show up in the customer's number one priority. What it really shows up is, do they feel good? Do they feel they matter when they're working with an employee of yours? If they do, they'll probably say yes. But if you arm your employees with nothing more than discounts, more often than not, they're going to lose that sale and it's going to walk out the door to somebody else because you probably presented it really well until the very end and then it's fumbled. And I don't want that for you. So before we forget, if you have a store over $1 million, you could look down below, find a time to meet with me, about 15 minutes. We'll talk about what's bothering you, what could be done, and what kind of strategies you could implement. Maybe work with me or look at my online training. If it's not $1 million you're doing right now, well, I got plenty of videos you can watch on sales training and other items. It won't be nearly like buying SalesRx, my online training, but at least it points you in the right way instead of going to ChatGPT. Tell me, how should I run my store? Yeah, don't do that. That's the Beijing of America. Don't do that. And with all that, I appreciate you watching this far in the video, and make sure that you subscribe and tell your friends that brick and mortar's tough, but I got a plan. I'm with the retail doc.